whatever part of the world you're currently listening to our video blog. It is now April the 2nd, 2025. All right, and just 2 months from now, it'll be June. It'll be the mid section of the year. This year is definitely moving pretty fast. Okay, folks, it'll be mid-year in 2 months. And guess what? There's still this war in Ukraine. It hasn't stopped. It's still an ongoing situation there. And mostly the reason it's an ongoing problem is because many Western European countries don't want it to win. They're not interested in, promoting peace and stability and ceasefire in the region. I wonder why. Maybe because they're making money off of this war. Maybe there's, some sort of hidden benefits to this war. That's the only thing that I can think of why they would want to continue to support Ukraine and have them fight a battle that they simply don't have any chance of winning. No chance whatsoever. All right, folks. It's sad that this conflict has been an ongoing conflict for several years now. All right, folks. And to make things worse, so many lives have been snuffed out over a political ideology, a conflict that could have been amicably resolved back in 2021. Okay, all right, folks. So, that's the reality of this whole situation. Anyway, I thought I'd bring this up to your attention once again because it's becoming very obvious that many people in the Western European countries simply don't want the war to end. It's obvious. I mean, now that we have a new administration in the White House, they're kind of pushing back. They're making things harder for the new administration to end this conflict. All right. I mean, the previous administration actually got it started, and now the new administration wanted it to end. And it seems like they're getting a lot of pushback from Western European countries. Anyhow, I don't understand their logic, but I hope they come to their senses because enough lives have been lost, and many people have been displaced. So that's something that I want to point out there. With that said, I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of the domestic issues in the U.S. which aren't really all that big of an issue. I think there's a misinterpretation of what's really happening. And one of them would be, this domestic issue when we're sending back illegal immigrants back to their home countries. So my parents came to the U.S. legally. They waited, almost a decade long just for them to be able to come and immigrate into the U.S. Okay, and when they got here, lo and behold, it wasn't, the land of honey and luxury and wealth that they had envisioned. It was hard work, a lot of, soul searching, and, tears along the way. Right, folks? And then you have people that decide to just live off of the system, and some of them are even very violent, staying in the country, freeloading off of taxpayers. And there are still people in Washington, D.C. that are trying to politicize this situation. Yet, when you have legal immigrants that are suffering and who made a lot of sacrifices for themselves and abide by the rules, are not getting any support from the government, not getting any form of relief from the government. These are legal immigrants. Okay, and then there's people in Washington, D.C. that are up in arms, okay, in support of the illegals that are freeloading off of the country. You know, creating a lot of mess, starting their gangs and all these stupid, you know, community disruptions in the country. So that just shows to, you know, the world, not just talking about to the US, but to the world. It just shows to the world how misaligned and how disjointed our policy are as a country. We need to definitely fix our system. You know, I'm glad that this administration is actually engaged in that. They weren't as heavily vested in it compared to the first term of the Trump administration, but I'm glad that now they're serious about it. They're cracking down on all these illegal immigrants. Because you know what, folks? If Americans were to go overseas and live overseas illegally, we get turned around. We get told to leave, just like any other country would do. But yet, when we tell people to go back home and actually abide by our laws, we get, you know, criticized for it. I mean, it's a very stupid way in so many aspects of it. Why are we being chastised for telling people to go back to their countries, you know, if they came here illegally? It just doesn't make sense. So that's the whole reality with this illegal immigration, you know, brouhaha that's happening right now. But I am glad that the Trump administration is cracking down and they're serious about it. Another issue, what else has been happening domestically? You know, there's a lot of headbanging going on now too on Capitol Hill, where this clown by the name of what was his first name? I forgot, but his last name is Booker. Anyway, he decided to do a 24-hour protest, basically just unloading on all the things that he hated about the administration and how they operate. So, forgot his first name, but his last name is Booker. Very big clown. He was a staunch supporter of Smollett. You know, Jesse Smollett went out there and hoaxed the country, basically, saying that he was attacked by two white men and they were carrying a noose and they put that noose around his neck. And, you know, Cory Booker, and so was every other bigwig Democrat, came out in public in support of Jesse Smollett, right? Saying that he was being publicly lynched and that he needs all the support that he can get from the American public. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, it turned out that it was all a hoax. Jesse Smollett paid off these two thugs to stage the beating as if he was beaten by two white men and put a noose around his neck. So, yeah, that's the kind of Booker, that's the kind of association Booker has, who stage a protest against the Trump administration about what they're trying to do to help save America and protect Americans and bring us back to normalcy, and actually, in all reality, bring us back to, you know, common sense. But anyway, Cory Booker, okay, now I remember his name. Cory Booker is his first name, Cory. So this Cory guy can't even fix up what's going on in his district. I mean, his district is in so much collapse and decay and very productive, community, mostly because of their own policy. And now he's telling the whole country how to operate. But yet, he has no credibility to tell people what to do. Right, folks? Anyway, I just thought I'd put this out there. So he went up on Capitol Hill on stage, I think like an overnight, basically thumb thumping, and got on his soapbox and unloaded on everything that he hates about the Trump administration. Okay, folks, but this guy is just the biggest clown that you can possibly come across. Most of these Democrats, actually, when I was sharing my case with various Democratic leadership, they basically just brush off the case. They were like, they don't care. They could care less about the plight of legal immigrants and people that are struggling, people in need of aid and support and relief, justice. They could care less unless it's politicized, unless they can use it as a political point. They're not going to help people out unless it benefits their political agenda. That's the game plan of the Democrat Party. Okay, folks. I've been a Democrat for many years. I started off being a part of the Democratic, community, if you didn't even say community. They're the people that they were grooming to become, Democrat representatives in government. So I actually went to Richmond and, did the doctrine there and got exposed to, various agendas within the Democrat Party. And I realized growing up that they weren't interested in helping the minorities. They're not interested in helping the underprivileged, the ones that are marginalized, oppressed in the country. They're interested in controlling the narrative. They're interested in saying to the world that they stand up for, those values and principles, but yet they don't really do it. Okay, folks, and this Cory Booker went up on, a 24-hour or 23-hour, I don't even remember how many hours he was talking up there on the podium, but he just went there and yak around and tried to convince his party and his colleagues that he's got the solution to most of the problems, or maybe 100% of the problems. I don't know. I didn't really listen. I don't care to listen, just because I know how he operates. He basically used, the Democrat convincing narrative that they stand up for the less fortunate, underprivileged, the marginalized, but in all reality, they run away the other direction when those individuals are requesting support and need our assistance. They run the other way. All right, I actually have plenty of stories to tell you about this, but I'm gonna talk about those on my podcast. I just want to give you guys a flavor of what I plan on talking about on my next podcast. So yeah, anyway, this Cory Booker guy was up, for a couple hours talking about how he hates the Trump administration. He's talking about, losing trade allies that we normally do business with, and all sorts of very disjointed and uninformed positions and points that he had talked about. Just one, he has no idea how trade operates. He has no background in commerce and trade. Very poor negotiator. He's got no negotiating skills. And throughout his career, he basically just focused in on the same old tired narrative that, the Democrats are supporting the less fortunate, the marginalized, the oppressed. But from my own personal background and experience with the Democrat Party, they are all full of crap. You know, they're making money off of those that are less fortunate, the marginalized, and the underrepresented. Okay, folks, that's been my experience with the Democrat Party. And I don't think that'll ever change now that they've been exposed, right? So, matter of fact, I sent my case to the previous administration, which was the Obama-Biden administration, when they were first in power and didn't get any form of relief aid or justice from them, even though they confirm and acknowledge that they have received our material. Okay, folks, and then I went ahead and sent the same information to the Biden-Harris administration, and they confirmed that they received the material, but they didn't do anything about it either. So that's the typical modus operandi of the Democrats. They'll string you on, and they'll make you feel as if they're there for you. They'll make you feel as if, you know, they're standing up for your, you know, rights, up until it's actually time for them to follow through. So when it's time for them to actually honor the word, they're nowhere to be found. So don't be fooled by the Democrat Party. Don't be fooled by all these Democrat politicians. They're in it for the money. They're not in it for you. They're to serve, to support, you know, the American public. They're there to make money off of the political system. You know, politics is a business. It's an industry. You should know this by now. Every politician has to register. They have to open a bank account. They have to put money in that account. They have to recruit money for that account. It's a business. It's an industry. So that's why they're in it. Okay, folks, they're not there to make life easier, better, or livable for you. Okay, folks, I've been in politics since I was, you know, or at least it's been exposed to politics since I was in high school. I was a part of the Project Discovery and the Costly program from Granby High School. It was, you know, for the minority population of the Hampton Roads area to participate in, so they can get access to, you know, government aid and school system that gives special privileges to the minority population, which I never got any special privileges or access to any form of support. And that was then, you know, the overall mission and intention of the Project Discovery program. When I joined, I didn't get any special, you know, privileges or support, even though that's what they were telling people. It was created by the Democratic Party, the Democrats of Virginia. So that just shows you that they're all full of garbage. Okay, they're just like these, you know, the lining on the streets, the garbage everywhere. That's what they are. They're garbage. Telling people one thing, making promises that they're not interested in keeping whatsoever. It's all about them getting access to power, staying in power, and making the money, you know, that they would never ever receive had they not be a part of the government system. They're all full of garbage. The Democrat parties are. It's like this, full of garbage. Yeah. So, you know, folks, make sure to examine who it is that you vote for. Look into their bios, look into their overall background, okay? Because most of the time, these politicians are in it for the money. They're definitely not there to make life easier for you. They're not there to support your needs and service your needs. All right, folks. So yeah, anyway, so that's a domestic situation here in the U.S. with this Cory Booker talking about crap and trying to convince the population that they're actually out there to help and support the American public, because they're not. I guarantee you they're not, because no one would ever vote for someone that supports a war. For example, in Ukraine, the Democratic Party supported the war in Ukraine. Who would support a war that could have been, amicably solved, and no person would have died had this war in Ukraine been escalated back in 2021. Okay, the war didn't start in 2022. It started in 2021 when it escalated and spiraled out of control in 2022. And that's something that I want you guys to realize. And what kind of party would basically oppress the marginalized, the ones that are voiceless, powerless, those people that have no access to authority, they don't have any way of gaining support from the powerful. But yet the Democrats, make sure that create a policy that makes it harder for people to get access to them. Okay, but they're not interested in supporting, the underprivileged, the minority class, the working class, underprivileged class. They're interested in lining their pockets. Okay, folks. So those are just two examples that I'm presenting to you guys now to consider regarding the Democrat Party. Okay, and I'm not just dogging them just for the sake of dogging them out. I've actually been exposed to them and worked with them, and even volunteered in support of some Democrat politicians. But when it's time for them to actually do what they say they were going to do, they're nowhere to be found. All right, folks. So, yeah, anyway, I just thought I have this conversation with you and kind of point things out so that you have a better and clearer way to decipher, real gold to fool's gold. The Democrats are the fool's gold on this planet. They are all full of crap. They tell you one thing and they do the other and make promises that they have no intention of keeping. So that's just the reality of the Democrat politics. Okay, that's how they operate. So with this said, another point that I want to kind of discuss with you is this. What was another big issue that the Democrat was trying to stonewall the Trump administration with? So this, I'm going kind of a blank here. I'm just getting charred. So they initiated this policy to basically prevent Dodge, Elon Musk's quasi-agency, to be productive and efficient and do what it is that they were supposed to do, which is to, make things better in the way the government operates, become more efficient, basically. And so there's this issue now where, Tesla cars are being vandalized around the world, and even in the US, just because people are starting to hate on Elon Musk. They're taking it out on, the cars that are property owned by people that worked hard to buy those cars. So that's the type of people the Democrat Party and their supporters consist of. People that will vandalize and destroy the property of those who work hard to acquire those properties. Okay, they're vandalizing the cars. And to make matters worse, they think that it's their right to vandalize. It's their right to take things out on other people's property. That's the mentality of those that support the Democratic Party, folks. They're violent, they're destructive, they're oppressive, and they're liars. Okay, they're full of lies. They're full of crap. The Democrat Party is full of crap. And it shows based off of the people that support the party. right, folks? So why would anyone destroy somebody else's property based off of political ideology? They don't even know if the owner of those cars, those Tesla cars, are pro-Republican or pro-Democrat. They just decide to vandalize those cars just because the owner of the company is serving in the federal government under the appointment of the new administration, which happens to be a Republican administration. But they have no idea what the political background or ideology of the owner of those cars, but yet they vandalize their cars anyway. Does that come across as people that think clearly to you? I mean, why would anyone do that? I was watching on YouTube, there's like people keying, Tesla cars and setting them on fire, hitting them, jumping on their hoods. Really stupid things, like childish things that you would think grown adults would not want to participate in. But guess what? Those that are vandalizing these cars and trucks, Tesla cars and trucks, are all adults. Some of them are well-educated adults that has a great career. They compromise so much of their life by participating in an activity and action that simply doesn't make any sense to anyone. All right, folks. And there were people in our political system in Washington that embraces and praises it. Okay, folks. So that's the kind of people in our government in Washington D.C. that are within the Democratic Party. Okay. Wow. I mean, seriously, folks. We have imbeciles that are making laws for the country. We have people that simply have no, business in being in the power and authority that they've been in or have been appointed to. Right, folks? So, yeah, there's just tons of domestic issues right now that is happening that shouldn't be happening. Okay, folks? And I'm going to be talking about this in my podcast in the next few days. I just thought I kind of, share some of my thoughts with you and take time to walk and enjoy the weather. I want to get a little bit of exercise at least once a day. So anyhow, that's what's going on, folks. People out there are vandalizing Tesla cars and trucks, okay, in protest of what Elon Musk is doing, which is improving the state of our government, helping it become more efficient. Okay, there are people in the government today that are actually making far more money-wise before they started volunteering and supporting the government. They were, basically just being patriotic and being in love with America as a country, and they decided to help out the administration. But most of these people that are now helping the Trump administration don't necessarily have to be in the government system. They don't need that kind of garbage, and the pay is significantly very small to begin with, right, folks? So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd bring this up to you and let you know how I feel as far as all this domestic garbage that is happening right now. Things that could have been easily fixed, during the Biden administration, but neglected to fix them. And now that they're being fixed and people are actually, honoring the word, they're not just making promises. you see all this pushback coming in from people that did not take any time to actually honor their word. So that's the reality of our situation right now here in the U.S. So going back to all these illegal immigrants, right? Most of these illegal immigrants are here to work. They're here to make money so that they can save money, send money back. I respect that. You know, I'm not dogging them for wanting to support their families. What I do have problems with are the ones that decided to become violent and become, you know, one of the source of the problems, which is they bring other illegals into the country, they hire them, they work with them, they keep them here, they maintain their lifestyle. Those are the ones that I have major problems with, because, you know, the more people provides that kind of support to illegals, the more illegals will come. Okay? I mean, that's the reality of things. The more support that you provide for them to illegally stay in the country, you know, acquire a job and, you know, do business and work here, the more of them that will keep on coming, because there's no reason for them to leave and there's no reason for them not to come here. Okay? That's just the reality of things. And I've been around many legal and illegal immigrants when I was in college. Actually, I was a part of a Spanish ministry from my university, and we will help, you know, laborers, and some of them were illegal, and some of them work at factories. So I know why they're here. But I wouldn't condone them being here, because I know that, one, not only are they taken advantage of, two, they really can't assimilate, and they're having hard time surviving in the US. So technically, by us sending them back, we're actually providing humanitarian support to these illegals, because now that they're back in their countries, they can actually work there and, you know, be able to function in the society that they're familiar with, in the society that they know about, right? So that's why I'm kind of torn in between sending them back or keeping them here, but I'm becoming more leaning towards sending them back, because I know that, one, they violated the law, in which it's really not in their best interest to do, because by violating the law they get less access to legal opportunities, and two, they get taken advantage of, and three, they end up becoming more prone to all sorts of criminal actions and activities, because they're up against, you know, not getting access to material goods and services and job opportunities as an illegal immigrant. All right, folks. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd bring this up to your attention. I apologize, I'm a little out of condition. I'm out of shape. I haven't been doing a lot of exercise lately during the winter months, but I'm hoping that will all change now that spring is around, and it's starting to be very nice to be outside now. Anyhow, there's a lot of crazy drivers out, it seems like, kind of aggressive drivers, but yeah, so I wanted to just touch base with you guys and say hello. It's been a couple of weeks since I did my video blog, so I just wanted to kind of, you know, bring up some of the news material that I've come across recently that I thought would be worthy for me to talk about, just because of the overall gravity of the effects to the country that's taking place off of these news events. So yeah, well, I appreciate your time, and I hope to reconnect with you again in the next couple of days. My podcast, make sure to subscribe and like our Face Economics podcast. We're available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and Listen Notes, as well as other podcasting platforms. And obviously we have our Face Economics TV YouTube channel. If you can't access any of our podcasting platforms, just simply go to our YouTube channel, and we'll try to upload our podcasts and video blogs on our Face Economics TV YouTube channel. And just keep on going with that, and continue to grow our audience. So with this said, folks, I look forward to connecting with you again. And please drop me a note. Let me know what you think about some of the things that I'm covering and that I'm talking about. And let me know if there's anything specific that you would like for me to talk about and express my views on. We're not the typical journalist platform. We try to investigate and learn as much as we can before we provide an opinion on. But sometimes, we can be wrong, and I want to know if we are wrong so we can correct those mistakes if we did talk about or report on anything that wasn't consistent to facts. With this said, my name is Al Mina. I'm the Face Economics concept author. I look forward to our next engagement. And, please also share our material on Facebook and other BitChute and, all of our social media platforms, because it's hard to grow an audience like what we're doing to make it organically develop. We're not really paying any social media platform to do the amplification of our subscription. So we're doing it organically through word of mouth, just like we want it to be, because we don't want any superficial likes and superficial subscription unless people actually see the value in what we're offering and what we're talking about. So with this said, folks, thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to our next conversation. Take care. Bye-bye.